I am Ting. Before Rebirth came, I stockpiled a large amount of supplies, holding Adelscope and watching my mother-in-law and husband, who had abused me for 10 years, fight fiercely at home over a little food. And these were just the appetizers of my revenge. I tremblingly carried the freshly brewed Chinese medicine towards my mother-in-law. She took a sip. Her face suddenly changed, and with a paw sound she smashed the bowl. The scalding medicinal juice splashed all over my face. I covered my face and stepped back, while she screamed sharply, "How dare you hide? Didn't I tell you to bring it when it's warm? Mom, you clearly said to bring it as soon as it's brewed." It tried to explain. "Bring it here. You still know how to talk back, huh? I think you intentionally want to kill me," she interrupted. I silently picked up the fragments on the ground, lowered my head and walked out. Behind me came her harsh scolding. "A chicken that doesn't lay eggs." But when I went out, I laughed out loud, because this was the scene he experienced before it. Yes, I had died once. At that time, after being scolded, I went to brew the medicine, again in a disheveled state, and then went to the hospital to get ovulation induction injections. I was very anxious about getting pregnant, because my husband Liang had said to me sadly not long before, "If you can't get pregnant again, the Liang family will have no heirs." The only son in 3 generations of single inheritance. A few days later, I drove to the supermarket to buy groceries. When I came out again, I found that there were many strange people covered in blood, biting people everywhere on the street. I immediately went home to tell my family, and they were also panic-stricken. But the dangerous task of going out again to buy supplies naturally fell on me again. The reason was only one. I'm used to buying things, so I went to be slower than him. I obediently stockpiled a lot. Later Liang took the initiative to propose letting Luo Lily and her daughter, who rented a house downstairs, come to live with us for a while. The landlord of the house they rented wants to take it back. It's not easy for the mother and daughter alone. We can take care of each other together, and they can go back after the chaos is over. Kind or stupid me naturally agreed. But later I found the two of them sneaking around in the bathroom, making shocking obscene sounds. After that, Lily coquettishly asked, "When will you marry me?" My husband Liang, with a trace of conscience left, comforted her. "Don't worry. I have already told Dr. Hu that the operation he will perform on you in a few days will fail." Operation failure? What does that mean? Silly girl, if the operation fails, she will feel guilty and naturally take the initiative to propose a divorce. At that time, the house and the car will all be ours. Mother and daughter. Why would Dr. Hu help you? He is my cousin. Those warm cells, sperm extracted from him, have long been used to. The woman laughed triumphantly. "You are really smart. Of course, I did all this for you and our child." I was instantly petrified. It turned out that 3-year-old boy Mao was actually Liang's illegitimate child. He had deceived me for a full 3 years. At that time I was filled with anger, picked up a kitchen knife and smashed the bathroom door. The only thought was to kill this pair of dogs and bitches. But I was just a weak woman who had been weakened and swollen from years of ovulation injections. I called and tried open the door, but was subdued by Liang, who rushed out. My mother-in-law also ran over, screaming sarcastically, "You chicken that has laid eggs in 10 years of marriage." In the end, I was tied up like a dog and thrown into the dark storage room. Later, the zombie virus broke out on a large scale. Because the corridors of the old building lacked control, the zombies quickly spread in. There were howls of zombies outside the Liang family store. The panic-stricken mistress, Lily, put forward a bad idea. "Throw me out to feed the zombies. This way, we can save some food at home." My mother-in-law and Liang agreed without hesitation. Those who like it will have their whole family in good health and smooth career. More full stories are available in Lala Full Story. Like and follow so you won't get lost. Thank you for your support. The moment I was thrown out tied up, my heart was as dead as ashes. The zombies in front of me pounced ferociously, biting me crazily. Waves of severe pain hit. My eyes were blood red, and the blood mist became thicker and thicker, until I completely lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was actually holding that scalding medicine bowl again, appearing in the Liang family again. At this time I knew that I had been reborn. This time, I would torture all those who hurt me to death, and none would be spared. I smashed the medicine bowl hard, turned around and ran into the bedroom, locking the door behind me. I quickly checked my bank card balance with my mobile phone. As a park designer, my income was not low, but all the money earned over the years was given to Liang to buy a house and a car. After checking, I only had 50,000 in financial management and 20,000 in current deposits. No, I had to get back all the money that belonged to me. There were only 7 days left before the zombie virus broke out, which was very urgent. It was too late to sell the house and car, but I had other ways, for example, using Liang's personal information to get online loans. I immediately contacted several online loan companies with loose reviews on the internet. The other party said that they needed to provide personal information and pass real name face recognition before they could lend money. Idiot Lai filled in the information, picked up my bag and went out, driving straight to Liang's company. He was Asali's manager in a real estate company. After 10 years of hard work, his monthly salary had reached tens of thousands. When I went, he was in a meeting. When he came out, he had a dark face. Why did you suddenly come here? Shouldn't you be going to the hospital for an injection? Husband, I said cautiously. I need to pay the medical fees. This secondary card is bound to your information, right? It suddenly prompted that it has expired. I just happened to be here, so what? Just scan your face to confirm. He took out my mobile phone, and the interface stayed on the face recognition page of the online loan platform. Liang didn't suspect anything at all. After all, we had known each other for so many years. I was as hone street as a sheep, which had long made him relax his vigilance. He sat down impatiently, letting me hold the mobile phone to scan his face, and occasionally cooperated with blinking and opening his mouth. Are you done? I'm still in a meeting, he urged. Dingling, the mobile phone rang softly. Those platforms all showed approved. Entering the loan disbursement process, I felt relieved. Looked at him with feigned gratitude. Okay, thank you, husband. He ignored me, snorted and stood up to leave. From a distance, I saw the woman standing in the corridor looking around Lily. It turned out that they were already having an affair in the company. Letting her rent downstairs in my house was probably Liang's idea. On the way back, the mobile phone kept making prompt sounds. Looking at it, those online loans had all arrived, totaling 1.2 million yuans. I didn't go home, but went directly to the housing agency, asking to rent the top floor of a 30-plus story high-end apartment building opposite my home. The top floor is not available, but there is a well-decorated 4-bedroom and 2 living room on the 23rd floor. Do you want it? The view is also good, the agent introduced. The 23rd floor, the same height as my old house. I sneered in my heart. Is this a fate? The agent took me to see the house. The house was well decorated, had been empty for half a year, and was fully equipped with electrical appliances. It was just that there were few furniture, except for the living room and the master bedroom. The other rooms were still empty. Sister, if you decide to rent, I'll ask the landlord to furnish the other rooms. The agent asked. No, it's fine now. How much is it? 1 month's rent as deposit, and 3 months' rent in advance, totaling 30,000 yuans. Of course, there are some smaller units that are cheaper, the agent said. I smiled. This one? Swipe the card. I got the key that day. This high-end apartment was a typical 1 elevator with 2 households, which was relatively easy to guard against ED. I immediately found a professional merchant that installed anti-theft doors and windows online. I want all the window glass to be replaced with bulletproof ones, and install anti-theft windows with extremely strong sealing. The anti-theft windows should be made of dense stainless steel, which does not affect lighting and ventilation, but even sparrows can fly in. It put forward the requirements. Bulletproof glass, so tight? The merchant was a little puzzled. I immediately explained. My elderly family member has persecution, paranoia, and is always worried that something outside will climb in. This is to make him feel at ease. Money is not a problem. To be on the safe side, I also asked to install an additional layer of power grid outside the anti-theft windows. As long as you press the switch inside the house, high voltage current will cover the entire external network. After paying the deposit, my mother-in-law's call came, scolding as soon as she picked up. Why have you been getting the injection for so long? It's almost dark and you haven't come home? Get back immediately to cook. Then she hung up. She didn't really care about me, just urging me to go back and be a free nanny. While the construction team was still there, I pointed to the elevator door. Master, please install a layer of protective railings and the same power grid at the elevator door. I'll add 2,000 yuans for labor. We must block all possible entrances. While they were working, I ordered 3 sets of high-power solar panels, a set of water purification equipment, and 30 heavy-duty shelves used in supermarkets. in the same city with urgent delivery, making an appointment to install and deliver them the next day. It was almost 7 o'clock after finishing these. I drove home in a hurry. As soon as he entered the door, I was greeted by Liang's scolding. You still know to come back? The hospital called and said you didn't go at all. I accompanied Hao Yu, made up a friend's name to the hospital. She encountered something and I went to help. Help? Do you know how important the test tube baby is to you and our Liang family? Liang came over, frowned and stared at me. Do you want our Liang family to have no heirs? My mother-in-law chimed in with a cold voice. I'm afraid some people are deliberately not wanting to have children for our Liang family. I silently waited for them to finish, lowered my head and quickly walked into the kitchen. I'll cook. The fists I clenched had nails digging into my palms. Endure. Just a few more days. The next day, I went out early in the morning. Unexpected lie. I met Lily and her son in the elevator. She looked at me sideways, pinching her nose. Why is there a bad smell in this elevator? I don't know where a dirty dog has been. Her 3-year-old son Mao even stretched out his hand and pressed all the buttons for floors below the 23rd. Lily not only didn't stop him, but also praised. My son is really smart. I was too lazy to this mother and son. But the construction team was coming in the morning, and time was tight. I reached out and turned off those lit floors. The child suddenly led and rushed up to bite my hand. I instinctively reached out and pulled him away. Lily immediately flew into a rage. How dare you touch my son? I'll fight with you. The mother and son screamed and howled. When the elevator reached the first floor, it attracted a lot of neighbors, including Liang, who was going to work. Lily cried with tears streaming down her face, pointing at me and saying to Liang, Xiang, I don't even know this elder sister. She rushed into the elevator and pushed my son. The neighbors who didn't know the truth began to strong like Hondman me. Liang grabbed my arm and slapped me hard. Are you crazy? Why did you hit someone else's child? Their faces flickered in front of me. The image of them throwing me out to feed the zombies in the previous life flashed through my mind. Retribution would soon befall you. I suddenly laughed nervously, which made them shudder. Is she mentally ill? She's crazy, ignore her. Lily looked at me vigilantly, pulled her son and left quickly. The onlookers also dispersed. Liang looked at me coldly. Ting Ikno, you've been mentally unstable these 2 years. Forget it. You'd better go to the hospital to have a look. Then he turned around and left. To hell with the hospital. When I walked out of the unit door, I went straight into the newly rented apartment. The workers had already started installing the anti-theft windows and power grid. Because my project was large and he paid extra to rush the work, they were very efficient. A master curiously asked, Girl, what do you need so many shelves for? I'm in e-commerce and need to stock up. It casually perfunctory. I'm not a savior. These days, everything outside is peaceful. Even if I run around to tell everyone, no one will believe me. I can only take care of myself and my mother. When the anti-theft facilities were almost installed, I started placing orders on the website of the city's largest warehouse-style supermarket. Food. First, I bought 3 large capacity refrigerators and 3 freezers, all kinds of kitchen utensils, pots, bowls, pans, ovens, bread makers, food processors, etc. 50 bags each of rice and flour, 50 gin each, 100 bundles of vermicelli, 100 barrels of cooking oil 5 liters each, 10 boxes each of pasta, vermicelli, and instant noodles, 50 gin, each of various grains, millet, corn, grits, red beans, mung beans, soybeans, etc. 20 gin each of dried seafood such as kelp, fungus, mushrooms, and dried bamboo shoots, 20 gin each of walnuts, wolfberries, red dates, longans, lotus seeds, etc. Condiments, at least 50 portions each of salt, sugar, soy sauce, vinegar, cooking wine, various sauces, doubanjiang chili sauce, sesame paste, hot pot base, yeast powder, baking soda, etc. Drinks. For milk, I chose 100 bags each of milk powder, full fat skimmed and goat milk powder, more space saving, 10 boxes each of beer and red wine, 10 gin of tea, green tea, black tea, pu'er, 10 large cans each of coffee beans and instant coffee, 50 boxes of sparkling water, daily necessities, 50 large boxes each of toilet paper, and sanitary napkins, daily use, night use, panty liners, enough to last until the end of time, 100 portions each of shampoo, body wash, soap, washing powder, liquid detergent, dishwashing liquid, etc. Clothes. Not many, all strong and durable. Home clothes and sportswear for all seasons, with enough underwear and socks. A dozen sets of bedding, a dozen towels and bath towels. Medicines, cold and fever medicines, anti-inflammatory and painkillers, gastrointestinal medicines, anti-allergy medicines, antibiotics as many as possible, trauma disinfection iodophor alcohol, hydrogen peroxide gauze bandages, band-aids vitamins, chronic disease medicines as needed, etc., filling to large, medicine cabinets, also masks, gloves, protective clothing, etc. It took more than a dozen orders to buy these things, which cost more than 300,000 yuans in total. The supermarket called immediately after I placed the order to confirm. I said the address was the new rented apartment and asked for delivery as soon as possible. In the afternoon, I bought a plane ticket and then called my mother. My mother was our retired primary school teacher. After my father died, she lived alone in a small town in her hometown. In the WeChat voice, my voice was urgent. Mom, I'm pregnant, but the doctor said there are signs of miscarriage. I didn't dare to tell the Liang family. Can you come to me right away? I'm a little scared. As soon as my mother heard this, she became anxious. Ting Ting, what's wrong? Why didn't Xiang come with you? I hugged her tightly and forced myself to take her heavy luggage. Mom, I'll tell you in the car. In the car, I took a deep breath and said seriously, Mom, I'm sorry. I lied to you. I'm not pregnant. Liang cheated. He and that woman even have a child. They want to harm me and make me leave the house with nothing. And most important lie, a large-scale zombie virus will break out soon, and 90% of people will die. You must stay with me, and we have to survive. My mother looked at me in a daze, her eyes from shock, confusion to worry. After a long time, she nodded vigorously, held my hand tightly. Okay, Mom listens to you. You say what to do, we'll do it. Later, I found out that it was because I had been on streets since I was a child and never lied. So my mother instinctively believed that I wouldn't lie about such things. My mother's arrival solved many key problems I hadn't thought of. As a primary school math teacher, she had rigorous and careful thinking and immediately put forward 2 core survival issues. Garbage disposal. Daily domestic garbage will accumulate over time. We can't let it pile up at home to stink and attract insects, let alone breed bacteria and viruses. Sustainable development. Vegetables and meat can be preserved for a long time. It's not enough to rely on frozen ones. We must have the ability to produce our own. At my mother's suggestion, I immediately found a decoration master to install a separate drain pipe under the kitchen sink that could directly lead to the building's underground sewage pipe to avoid clogging by connecting with other residents, and bought a high-power kitchen waste disposer. In this way, most of the domestic garbage could be crushed and directly discharged. We bought a large number of vegetable and fruit seeds suitable for balcony planting, pak choi, lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, strawberries, etc., as well as a full set of hydroponic equipment, nutrient solution, planting racks, LED fill lights. Although the large balcony was enclosed by anti-theft bars, the sunlight coming through the gaps plus the fill lights were enough for plants to grow and solar panels to work. My mother also proposed to buy a dozen half-grown chicks, easier to survive and raise them in a super large multi-layer cage in the corner of the balcony. Chickens lay eggs. Eggs hatch chickens, which can continue. The chicken manure can be fermented to make fertilizer, which is waste utilization. Because I bought a large number of beans, soybeans, mung beans earlier, my mother also bought a stone mill and coagulant. In this way, we can eat fresh tofu and soybean curd at any time. Mung beans can also be rooted. Sweet potato starch can be made into jelly and vermicelli. My mother looked at the preliminary planned balcony and said firmly, Ting Ting, even if this virus lasts for a few years, it will be hard for us to starve to death. On Tuesday, we made the final crazy purchase, focusing on meat and non-perishable vegetables. Meat. Bought 2 whole pigs directly slaughtered and cut up, frozen in several freezers. 100 jin each of chicken, duck, beef, and mutton cut up, plus dozens of jin of sausages and bacon my mother brought from her hometown. The meat reserves were extremely rich. Vegetables. Bought hundreds of jin each of carrots, yams, lotus roots, pumpkins, sweet potatoes, onions, Chinese cabbage, and other varieties that are resistant to storage. Some were for immediate consumption, and most were cleaned, cut into pieces and frozen. Around noon, the installation master delivered read the human-powered running generator. It is said that running for an hour a day can generate almost 1 kilowatt-hour of electricity, which is enough to cook a meal. The master introduced, although the efficiency was not high, it had the advantage of not needing sunlight and could be used as supplementary energy. I also bought a lot of solar-powered camping lights and headlamps, and 2 high-performance drones with high definition cameras and certain load capacity, a high-powered military telescope, tools and weapons, chainsaw, axe, machete, multifunctional military knife, rope, gasoline, solid alcohol, large capacity power bank, etc., medicines, added to more cabinets, especially antibiotics and chronic disease medicines, spiritual food. I spent a night downloading thousands of movies, TV series, documentaries, and tens of thousands of ebooks, filling 3 reinforced laptops and a dozen large capacity hard drives. These things cost hundreds of thousands more. The main expenses were the running generator, drones, bulletproof glass, and anti-theft power grid. But money was just a number to me now. People say that what people are afraid of is not having no money, but dying with money left unused. I don't want to have such troubles. As the sky turned pale, it was 5 o'clock in the early morning of Wednesday. There were only a few hours left before the zombies appeared. My mother took advantage of the last time to make 2 jars of Sichuan pickles. We Sichuan people, the pickle jar is our life. As long as it's there, our appetite is there. She smiled and said, I lay on the bed looking at the slightly bright sky outside the window, and asked softly, Mom, are you afraid? My mother shook her head, her eyes firm. What's there to be afraid of? As long as my daughter Ting Ting is well. Mom is not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid either. I leaned against her. As long as Mom is here, I'm fearless. My mother patted my back and sighed. Alas, informed many relatives and friends to stock up on goods and hide. But it seems that no one believes me. Some even said they would take me to see a psychologist. She smiled, helpless lie. Yes, if I hadn't experienced it myself, I would have thought such actions were completely crazy. Not long after dawn, the courier arrived. I handed over a few documents. Please send these to this address as quickly as possible. In the documents were copies of Liang as online loan contracts and some warm reminders. About an hour later, my phone rang. Lie. Since the zombie outbreak, no one had called for a long time. It was an unfamiliar number. I answered it doubtfully. Hello? Ting. From the other end of the phone came a deep, hoarse voice like sandpaper rubbing. These simple 2 words made my goosebumps stand up all over. It was Liang. I saw, he said slowly. Every word cold. I know where you are. I sat up abruptly. My heart was pounding. I checked the house instinctively. Doors and windows were closed. Anti-theft bars were intact, and the power grid switch was within reach. With such dense anti-theft bars, he couldn't see inside. He continued, his voice with a strange pride. You were watching me every day. You installed so many monitors in the house. Hee. My heart tightened, and my eyes instantly turned to the laptop on the table. On the screen, it clearly showed the monitoring of the living room of the Liang family. And in the picture, Liang was raising his head, his pale, swollen, dirty face, with a pair of bloodshot eyes, staring dead at the camera. He opened his mouth, showing an extremely strange, creepy smile. Ting, you live on the 23rd floor opposite, don't you? He faced the camera, as if looking at me. I saw your curtains. When you sleep, you always like to leave a gap. You said that without a little light, you would be afraid. That house, with the gap, you really know how to find a place. Just as I heard this, my mother pushed the door in concerned. Ting Ting, are you up? Do you want to eat poached eggs? I quickly covered the phone's microphone, but Liang on the opposite side obviously heard it. He suddenly burst into crazy laughter, his voice hoarse and distorted. Ha ha ha. Living well? Still have eggs to eat? I'll come to you right away. Ting, wait for me. A creepy feeling grabbed me instantly. At this moment, a flash of inspiration came to my mind, and I suddenly remembered something. 2 days ago, I had received a call. It was from Liang Skuzin, that black-hearted Dr. Xu. His voice was weak, saying he was dying, and confessed something to me before he died. It was always Liang who had physical problems and could end their children. His sperm motility was extremely low, and it was almost impossible to conceive naturally. The so-called ovulation induction injections and examinations were all Liang bribing him to make me live in guilt, willingly work like a cow and horse, and by the way, let his cousin get some black income. What kind of scumbag is this? What qualifications does he have to live in this world? I stared at Liang's distorted and crazy face on the monitoring screen. The anger and grievances accumulated for 10 years and to lifetimes, mixed with the terrifying frame in front of me. The fear that just arose was instantly replaced by deeper hatred and extreme contempt. I clenched my phone, shoot head into the microphone with all my strength. Liang, you are a complete coward, a loser. If you used the courage to harm others to deal with zombies. Your mother would end they've been bitten to death. If you used the minds to calculate your wife to find food, you would end they've to lick the milk powder can like a hungry dog. You only dare to hide in the house and attack women and children. You don't even dare to go out. You such a scumbag deserve to have no descendants. You don't deserve to have children because you're not even a human being. You only deserve to be the rotten meat in the zombies' mouths. My words like red-hot sharp knives stabbed into his most painful places, completely igniting his remaining madness. In the monitoring screen, Liang let out a roar that was not human. He suddenly picked up a black, supposed piece of meat on the table, stuffed it into his mouth, crazy lie, and chewed. Blood and meat residue overflowed from his mouth. His expression was distorted and enjoying, as if tasting some peerless delicacy. I wouldn't starve to death. I wouldn't starve to death. He chewed human flesh, roaring incoherently at the camera. Are you scared? You're scared. Disgust and anger almost suffocated me. I held back the desire to vomit. Shouted into the phone, eat it. I've taken pictures of all these. Liang, even if you survive the end of the world by chance, you'll be exposed, tried, cut into pieces. You don't deserve to live. You're perverted, but you're just a loser who only dares to attack the old, weak, sick, and disabled. You're not even a man. Go to hell. My words like poison sharp blades street ed into his most fragile and distorted nerves. Wait. I'm coming. In the monitoring screen, Liang let out a final inhuman roar. He threw away the piece of meat in his hand, picked up the kitchen knife, stained with Lily's blood, suddenly opened the door, and rushed out like a runaway beast. This scourge finally went out. Undoubtedly, the silent corridor immediately resounded with the extremely excited howls of zombies. Then came Liang's shrill wails, curses, and the click sound of bones being bitten. Hearing this intertwined terrifying sound, my tears couldn't help falling. Not sadness. It was relief. It was joy. It was the venting of grievances accumulated for 10 years and to lifetimes. This man who had done so many evil things and harmed me deeply was finally dead, and in the most painful and disgraceful way. I rushed to the balcony, picked up the telescope and looked down at the opposite building. I saw Liang stumble out of the unit door, but was immediately surrounded by the zombies wandering downstairs. The 3 zombies rushing to the front were particular like Hans Piquus. One was old but extremely fierce, Liang's mother. One was tall and strong, biting off his arm in one bite, Lily's ex-husband Chang. And one was short, jumping up and down, biting off his ear, Mao. Liang died at the hands of the relatives he had harmed. What a great irony. The most direct retribution. Soon he was tackled by more zombies, bitten to pieces, covered in blood. Finally, he twitched a few times and stopped moving completely. He was dead, but Ick knew that according to the characteristics of zombies, he would soon twitch and stand up again as a zombie, joining the team of harming others. I let out a long breath, turned around, and found that my mother had been standing behind me, silently watching all this. There were also tears in her eyes. Mom, Liang, my mother held my hand tightly, her voice calm and firm. From now on, he can't hurt you anymore. I nodded vigorously, standing with my mother, silently looking at the mess belonging to the scumbag downstairs. Strangely enough, 1 minute passed, 2 minutes passed, 3 minutes passed, half an hour passed. The Liang downstairs didn't respond at all. Could it be he didn't even have the qualification to become the lowest level zombie? At this time, my phone vibrated. It picked it up and saw that it was a message from my neighbor Lin. Sister Ting, the newly dead zombie downstairs seems to be strange. Look. Presumably she had also been paying attention. I replied, I see, let's observe again. After a while she sent another message. It looked with Adelscope. He actually opened his eyes. He's still smiling. Is this normal? He's still pressing his phone? I was confused, because from my angle, I could only see Liang lying on the ground like a dead dog, until my mother pointed to my phone screen and exclaimed, Ting Ting, look. On my phone screen, it clearly showed an incoming call. Scum. I lowered my head, looked unbelievable at the pool of bloody corpse downstairs. A cold air rushed from the soles of my feet to the top of my head. Goosebumps all over my body stood up instantly. I stretched out my finger with an indescribable sense of terror and pressed the answer button. From the phone came a voice more hoarse, distorted as if from hell. Ting, I found you. The phone was like a red-hot iron, which I threw away abruptly. I stared at the pool of corpse on the ground. It began to squirm, once again, Then, it bounced up in a way that completely violated the laws of physics. Its neck made a crack sound that made people's teeth ache, and its head tilted back at an incredible angle, and its rotten empty eye sockets accurately looked at the window of my 23rd floor. It was smiling at me. Its broken lips opened and closed, and the same devilish voice came from the phone. Ting. I came to find you. I rushed to the window, grabbed the axe at the corner, and stared at the monster that was about to climb up. The next second, with a crash, a glass was smashed open. That charred, blackened head, with some skull exposed, squeezed in from the gap of the anti-the-eft bars. The face, which was barely recognizable as Liang's twisted features. Who? He let out a bellows, like who sound from his throat. His blackened mouth opened, showing broken teeth, and let out a silent roar at us. Ah. My mother and I let out a roar at the same time. All the fear and anger accumulated at this moment turned into strength. Axe, kitchen knife. We swung them with all our strength at that terrifying head that squeezed in. Puff, puff, clang. His flesh and bones became extremely hard after multiple electric shocks and burnings. It was really like coke. When the axe and kitchen knife were chopped down, many black pieces and charred meat crumbs fell off, but no fatal injury was caused. He opened his black mouth, used his last strength, bit an anti-theft bar dead, and began to tear it out more craziest. The gap that was pried open was expanding, little by little under his brute force. It seemed that he would soon be able to squeeze his whole body in. Ting ting, get out of the way. My mother screamed, and actually picked up the chain, sought to rush up to die with him. Mom, don't go. I was scared out of my wits. Held her tightly. If you die, I can't live either. We'll fight with him. Just as our mother and daughter were desperately entangled, and the monster was about to break through the window completely. At the critical moment, woohoo! From above, suddenly came the familiar sound of the drone Schroeder. I looked up suddenly. I saw the drone island to my neighbor, Lynn, hovering over the balcony. I instantly understood her intention. Great hope lit up the darkness like lightning. Mom, fire! I shouted hoarsely, fumbled in my pocket for the lighter. The first time, because my hands were shaking too much. The match fell off. At this moment, Liang's monster's head and a carved shoulder had squeezed in from the expanded gap. His white eyes stared at me dead. An excited who sound came from his throat. Hurry up, Ting Ting, my mother shouted anxiously. The second time, I struck the match violently. An orange flame jumped up. I used all my strength to throw the burning match at the bag full of solid alcohol under the drone. A perfect parabola. The match landed accurately on the bag. Boom! A large ball of intense flame burst into flames instantly. The whole bag turned into a huge fireball, falling straight down, accurately hitting Liang monster, who had half his body squeezed into the window. Ow! An unprecedentedly shrill howl sounded. Liang monster was instantly wrapped into a violently burning fireball. His body twisted and curled crazy lie in the flames, like a shrimp thrown into boiling water. Thick smoke billowed, and the smell of burning filled the air. After twitching like this for only a few times, his mouth that was biting the railing completely lost strength. In the nick of time, I seized the opportunity, held the axe handle with both hands, and straight ABB it hard at that burning head with all my strength. Puff! The axe blade sank deep into it. A short sigh-like hiss, and the burning body suddenly stiffened. Then the huge impact and his own falling trend pushed his whole body out of the window suddenly. Bang! A heavy thud came from downstairs. After this time, my mother and I leaned against the wall, slid to the ground gasping for breath, our hearts beating wildly, almost breaking out of our chests. We stared at the window, pricked up our ears to listen to the movement downstairs. 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, dead silence. Only the faint howls of zombies in the distance, and the whimper of the wind blowing through the broken window. He, finally, didn't climb up again. Sue, succeeded? My mother's voice was weak with the after effect of surviving a disaster, and she held my arm tightly. I struggled to get up, found the last drone, I kept my own. With the last bit of battery power, I controlled it to fly out. During the descent of the drone, I could clearly see the shocking traces of climbing on the outer wall of the building, composed of black and red blood and charred marks. That was the road of death left by Liang. Monster climbing up again and again. Finally, the drone hovered over the green belt downstairs. The camera clearly captured. On the concrete ground next to the sewer manhole cover lay a black, barely human-shaped charred wreckage. Limbs were all broken. Head collapsed. Body curled up like a charred shrimp. still emitting wisps of smoke. The most conspicuous thing was that an axe was deeply embedded in his skull. As a zombie, he didn't seem to be completely dead. A card eyeball in the broken eye socket turned extremely slowly, but there was no part of his body that could support him to move even a little. Success. My mother and I hugged tightly, crying with joy. I quickly picked up my phone and sent a message to Lynn, my fingers trembling. Lynn, thank you. You saved us. She replied soon, her words full of concern and fear. The alcohol was given by you. It was you who helped us first. Good people are rewarded. It's good that you're okay. I looked out the window at the sky, which was still blue despite being dilapidated, and then at the messy streets downstairs and the outline of the damaged city in the distance. The haze that had accumulated for 2 lifetimes in my heart was finally torn open a hole. The sun, struggling to break through the clouds, shone down. We will definitely get through this. 1 year later, my mother and I, finally with the help of the government's search and rescue team and medical staff, walked out of the apartment building that had been closed for more than a year. At this time only 4 of us survived in this 30-plus story building. Yes, my mother and I, my neighbor Lynn, and her lovely daughter Nuo, who was now over 2 years old. Because the network and electricity were completely cut off, we had no news from the outside world for a long time, but the country and the government didn't give up on us, because we had received weak radio messages twice, telling us to keep hope and wait patiently for rescue. After discussing with my mother, on the premise of ensuring our own safety, using drones to drop at night, we regularly sent some food and medicine to Lynn's house. I hoped that the mother and daughter could also survive. We finally succeeded. Walking out of the dark corridor, the sun poured down on our heads unobstructed, so bright that it was a little dazzling, but none of us avoided it. Instead, like plants that had been drought stricken and met with, we raised our faces greedily, feeling that long-lost real warmth. Living is really good. My mother squinted her eyes, said softly, holding my hand tightly. Yeah, I nodded vigorously, tears welling up in my eyes. The medical staff in protective clothing said to us, "Congratulations on holding on to the end. The country has successfully developed a sonic weapon against the zombie virus and put it into actual combat. Most zombies have been eliminated, and the remaining few have been collectively driven to the uninhabited area in the northwest for final purification. Now the whole country is carrying out disinfection and reconstruction. You are the survivors of this city. We will arrange for you to take a plane to the isolation base for health check and psychological evaluation. After resting there for a while, you will be relocated to the planned new home." At this time Lynn came over holding Nuo. Little Nuo had grown taller, although a little thin, but her eyes were still clear and bright. After going through the end of the world, Lynn had lost her former weakness and gained some tenacity and calmness. She looked at us, showed a sincere smile, and said to her daughter in her arms, "Nuo, come on, call. Grandma, call. Mom." She paused, looked at my mother and me, her eyes warm. From the moment Sister Ting saved us, she is also your mother. We are a family. I was stunned, and then a huge warm current surged in my heart. My mother's face also turned red. Lynn smiled gently, handed Nuo to me. I reached out tremblingly and held this soft and warm little life. The instant softness and attachment touched the deepest part of my heart. It held her tightly, as if holding a lost and found treasure. The loneliness, fear, resentment, and despair of the past and present lives seemed to be completely dispelled at this moment by the real warmth in my arms and the company of my loved ones around me. The sun shone on us, illuminating the road ahead. The future may still be difficult, but hope has been reborn.